That's interesting. We've got the Page of Wands. So they have a plan. So that's a soft yes at invading what? Deep state. So not necessarily invading Europe, but invading anybody who's still tied to deep state, Khazarian mafia, the dark cult. Okay. So if your country is heavily invested in that bunch still, it's not a big yes, that's a soft yes, but it's a thing, it's a potential. Here we go. Yeah, it's absolutely a potential. I'm going to use Dusty here. See the Four of Cups there? So the Four of Cups is they're also using the idea that they're going to invade, and they're entertaining you, like, believe it or not, and also keeping your eyes focused on that while all of these other things. I feel like what Russia's doing is cleaning up. They're cleaning up Khazarian mafia or like you could say Nazis, because that is the Khazarian mafia. They are Nazis. They're all those bad things that have throughout history killed millions of people. That's been the Khazarian mafia, okay, under the guise of different things. But they're the Khazars, so like really, really minions of the dark cult. Anyway, so they're using the idea that Russia's going to invade. So this is white hat operation here, white hat and alliance operation, keeping you focused on that potential. Meanwhile, what they're really doing is cleaning up places like, we know they've been cleaning up Ukraine, because it's absolutely still run by the deep state, or was. Okay, I feel like they're getting close to being finished, that, believe it or not. And I even think a lot of the cleanup was done years ago. So a lot of things we see are actually footage from a long time ago and or stories from a long time ago. Yeah, so it's on the way to being done here. We've got the King of Pentacles, near future outcome. They're not looking even remotely at going after Europe. Absolutely not. In fact, this card tells me Russia is a white hat op. So Russia and the Russian leader, they all work with the white hats, whoever that leader is, because I don't think it's the original Putin. Okay, so like I've been talking about this for years, that original Putin was likely switched out 12 years ago. Right about, look up the time his wife divorced him. He'd been missing for weeks, I think it was, or was it days? I can't remember. Quite a few days, if it was days. And then all of a sudden he showed up with not a very good excuse for why the leader of Russia was missing for days. And his wife left him not too far after that, and he started looking different. So I think they replaced him, and I think he's been working undercover with the white hats ever since. So anyways, no plans to invade Russia, you guys. This is all a white hat op. And all of those stories are just to keep everybody occupied and focused while they do the real cleanup, all over the place, but most specifically in the Ukraine. Okay, so what else do we have? How often do we see the real Donald Trump? Okay, this guy is definitely an actor. Okay, this is the guy they mainly trot out. Okay, and he's an actor. See if we can get any more real estate there. And I can't do that because there's a big stain from my glass, but I guess I'll just leave it. I'm glad you guys put up with me. Okay, let's have a look at Donald Trump. How often do we see the real guy? That's an actor. There's another actor. So that guy even looks like, who does that guy look? Let me know in the comments who you think that guy looks like. Interesting. Yeah, it's definitely not the real guy either. So those two are different that you just saw. Fascinating. And then there's this really chubby one who's, not as good looking as that one. That guy's the one always playing golf, and he never wears a jacket. He always just wears a shirt. That's the golfing, and he's often seen at Mar-a-Lago as well, Mar-a-Lago. And that guy's not real Donald Trump either. But every once in a while, we do get a glimpse. 210, though, it's been a really long time. Okay, it's been a really long time since we saw the last time we saw him. We've got the 5 of Cups there. We've got the Queen of Cups there. I think there's a lot of potential for him to get taken out if he's seen in public. We've got the 6. Oh, we could see him again very intermittently, almost never. And we could see him by the end of June again. Some situation could bring him out in the end of June, but it's almost never, you guys. 210s like that, it's almost never. You're never seeing him. Yeah, there's the golfing one. That guy's not either of those other two. And he's definitely not the real guy. Okay, so I can't even remember literally what does the real Donald Trump look like. Anyway, but yeah, he's safe. He's safe and working on in the back. Okay, let's see. Carl Starmer. So the PM of the UK, he was forced to, but he makes it look like, oh, all of a sudden he's going to do the right thing and investigate the rape gangs, and they're calling them grooming gangs. Okay, they're rape gangs that have been going on for many years, many years in the UK, and gangs of, various different gangs, often Indian gangs, Indian men, and or Pakistani men, and or Middle Eastern men. Okay, having households of them living together, and then bringing in young women and underaged women, usually kind of maybe runaways, maybe vulnerable. They pick off the vulnerable ones, maybe the ones in low income situations, or they fool them into coming, and they get them as basically sex slaves. But they're calling it grooming gangs. Well, it's not grooming gangs, you guys. These people are held captive in homes with several men living in the household, and they're raped on the regular. Okay, so that in no way is it a grooming gang. Okay, so they're not even calling it the right thing yet, but at least they're forced to investigate. So he's doing the right thing and investigating it. Okay, so what we want to know is, does that lead to outing him as one of these people? Because he's a groomer, raper. Okay, he's a pedo. You better believe it. And he's likely people have even connected him to Jimmy Savile, possibly even related to Jimmy Savile. Some people even say Jimmy Savile's donated sperm to make that creep, Starmer. So all kinds of things. Things are so crazy in the world. That could be true. Stuff like that could be true. Like it's a wild world we're living in, people. Okay, so let's have a look at him doing this. I believe the guy you're seeing that we're calling Starmer is a capitulated person, and or possibly even an actor or a mask-wearing actor. And they're acting on behalf at this point of the White Hat Alliance. And I think the real Starmer was rounded up quite some time ago. I don't think they'd leave a guy that dangerous kicking around. I think this guy's step in. Okay. And regardless, they're using Carl Starmer's brand. Okay. And they're doing this all over the world with all the leaders. Okay. I've been saying it for years, and I'm just going to remind you that that's what I think. Okay. So let's look at, is this going to lead to the outing of the real Starmer and his real misdeeds and arrests of other people? Are these investigations going to lead to that? That's what the question was. Okay, 2 more 10s again. Wow, with the 10s. We're getting really close to the end when you see that many 10s. Okay, so there's certainly been things hidden. I just don't have the heart to kick them out. You know what I'm saying? There's been things hidden for a really long time. So they're giving people time to come to the realization, okay, that, what's really been going on. So using these guys and having them out themselves, basically, they're doing walks of shame, all of these leaders, fake leaders. They're doing walks of shame. I don't think it's going to, though. There's a soft yes in the middle. So, in a way, but I feel like he's already been rounded up. So it doesn't lead to his roundup because he's already been rounded up. It's more just exposing these guys and letting people know. This is more about educating the public, and that might disappoint people, and less about actual roundups happening because of it. Okay, so I'm going to say no to that, even though in a way, in the public eye, you might, like, information will come out about, like, it'll circulate more information about the misdeeds of Starmer himself. Okay, and lots of people have been circulating information about this guy. So I feel like it just gives it more time and also eyeballs on what's actually been going on. But I don't think it directly leads to big arrests and the takedown of Starmer. Other things are going to take him down. I mean, but technically he's been taken down. Okay, so they got time because they already got these guys in Gitmo, and there's a big place under Greenland. They hold them, and they've got these holding places where they're, doing military tribunals. Every time I look at it with the cards, that's what I get, guys. Just saying. Okay, so let's have a look at, there was an official swearing in of the military. And of course, when they first joined, they likely go through that. But for some reason, Trump led the military on a verbal, and everybody repeated after him. So it was like considered an official swearing in of the military again. Okay. And why is that? Some people say it's because they're officially taking over buildings like the Fed, and the military are being handed over power. I believe they've been kind of like the whole time fake Biden was running around. It was really the military in control. You guys know what Jean-Claude and I've been saying for years. So to me, it's like, why would they do this official swearing in? Is this just soft exposure, getting everybody to look into these things? What's the reason for that? It's definitely something to get people looking at something, right? Because this card says, look over here. While you're busy looking over here, maybe look into this. And I feel like it gets everybody looking back at the military. What role are they really playing? What are they really? Is Trump's really in charge of them? Why would Trump lead the swearing in? That's interesting. That might be a big comm that he's in charge of the military. White Hat Alliance Trump brand is in charge of the military. Okay, near future, we've got that Queen of Cups, because everybody's so obsessed about all of these other things. I feel like it was to get people's attention and to, like, a wake-up call. This is a wake-up call. So him doing that wasn't necessarily to, they already have a lot of, I think the military already have been in charge. And then I feel like Trump was leading them all the way through the last 4 years. And now the White Hat Alliance and Trump brand. And now I feel like this was just a wake up to get people going down those rabbit holes and looking into it and recirculating everything we know about that. Probably a lot of people recirculated, Derek Johnson's info. He's been talking about this for years, as well as all the Q posts and etc. Like, it gets everybody, back on the horse, circulating all of this stuff. So that was what that was about, kind of reminding us who's been really in charge. That's what I think it was more about that. Okay, let's have a look at travel. So some people are wanting to know about travel And I'm not going to look at specific places. I'm going to do 2 questions on it, and one will be coming from like traveling. Okay, let's say this, traveling in Europe or from Europe to North America. How is that looking for the next 3 months? So we're going to go June, July, and August. How's that going to look for people generally? Is there something we need to know about that? And then we'll look at it going the other way. There. That's the travel card. That's the devil, so that's interesting. And the 8. Okay, you're going to really need to use your intuition, you guys. There does look like pockets of time when you might not want to. Looks like there could be holdups. There could be situations that make it, and of course, destination. So really look into the destination you're trying to go to. Let's move that over. Yeah, there's going to be some events here, it looks like. And now this is jumping us into September. Looks like it's definitely not a good time to travel. Ooh, so that's interesting. That's my September card. Whoop. And see that? Yeah, we're going to have military on the streets in some places. Some of those time periods we're looking at and places we're looking at. So I feel like, yeah, really check into your instincts, intuition, and look into truther news, in particular trusted truther news, just to really get a good handle on it. I don't think it's an across the board no, but it's definitely going to be tricky going forward. That's Europe, within Europe, and coming from Europe to North America. Now let's look at North America, within North America travel, and then going to Europe, North America. Get us a little more real estate there. Okay, that's a little better. That's a little better. There could be a lot of fear porn in these areas where it looks bad, but in fact, it's actually better on this side of the pond. So again, though, use your instincts and intuition. Okay. And like really look into where exactly your destination is, and maybe use your tools if you have tools. So in other words, pendulum, muscle testing, all the kind of tools we've talked about for years. Tarot, of course, if you've studied it, your medicine words, all your tools to make sure that your particular travel and your mode of travel is going to be. But this looks better than the other way. So European travel looks a little more difficult than North American. And it feels like North American's a little better, but lots of fear porn around those months we just talked about, where things will be said to be happening, but they may not be happening quite the way. For instance, everything that was happening this weekend, okay, and all those LA riots. Okay, a whole bunch of people filmed the very areas they were saying there was riots going on. And by the way, those were local LAers. Okay, and there's you can find those videos if they're still up on YouTube. I don't know, Rumble, but they've been shared on social medias. And a lot of the places there might have been isolated, protests / riots, okay, but I feel like they were orchestrated, okay, right from the get-go, even filmed from different angles to make them look bigger. And I don't think they were as widespread as they were saying. Also, that no kings just fizzled right out. Okay, just like I said it would. And that was just a big psyop, okay, because a lot of the people supposedly who organized that are probably in Gitmo. Okay, so that's obviously a white hat op, and it was showing you just that those guys aren't the kings of Hollywood anymore or entertainment. They're in fact deep state puppets, pedophiles, and or sold out, like sold their soul to the devil types. Maybe that was the nod for the no kings. But anyway, regardless, I feel like just watch for the big psyop stuff, because you'll see it all summer. I'm sure we're going to see it for the next 3 months heavy. Okay, so let's have a look at Israel and Iran conflict. So again, I've been getting, so I looked at this even on, so if you haven't seen the public version of Beyond the News, Thursdays, we run it Thursdays at 8 Eastern. It's on Rumble, on the Jean-Claude at Beyond Mystic Rumble channel. You definitely want to be checking that channel out and getting yourself subscribed there, because I do a really good news program with Jean-Claude. And I prefer to talk about things like the Middle East with Jean-Claude, because he just knows more about politically what's been going on there for years. And, like I could really misspeak even if I'm getting something, but I'm not understanding the deeper situation there. So I like to be a little careful around questions about these big supposed war things. But I'm going to tell you what I've been getting when I was with him on the show there, that public show. It's for everybody and free to everybody. That show, I was getting, like we looked at it Thursday, that all of this has likely already happened. Okay. So even though you're seeing footage, don't forget that when there was when that situation happened in Iran on what date was that? The 7th, but I can't remember what month. I can't remember what month that was. Was it March 7th? Anyway, when that big strike happened, supposedly from Hamas. Okay. All of that was orchestrated actually by the Israelis. Okay. So there's almost nothing you can believe that's happening in the Middle East that's actually happening. And that's what I've been getting. And it might sound crazy, but I'm just saying, okay, that's what I get constantly in the cards. So concerns about it. Yes, there's concerns of it, like it's concerning, okay, but every single time they've had the ramp up to the Third World War and it's imminent nuclear, okay, it never happens. And I honestly don't think it will. I honestly don't. I don't even get that there's nuclear capability in these places. I just don't get it. I'm not seeing it. Okay, so I'll just say that again. Okay, and I've been saying it for years. Okay, so it's why I don't get super excited about all of the ramp up about the Middle East. Okay, so now I'm going to look at what's really Israel. Who are they being in this conflict? Okay, or created I think it already got sorted out over there, and I think there already was this. I think the footage is from the past. I also believe some of the footage is somehow created. And maybe they are bombing some places, but maybe not the ones they say they're bombing, right? So if you're on the ground in Israel, on the ground in Iran, please chime in, okay? Because I want to know if I'm wrong about that. I want to know. Okay, so chime in and tell us what you're getting, okay? Because if you're just hearing things on the news, that we can't trust any of that, okay? And we're seeing this footage. And remember, when the news was reporting all kinds of footage in the past, it turned out to be actually taken from a really popular video game, and everybody recognized it who played the game. You know what I mean? We have to be really careful. That's when the supposed Ukraine war first started. Okay, so that's how crazy this situation is. You can't believe anything that the news is saying, and a lot of truthers. There's a whole lot of fake news with the truthers circulating as well. Okay, so I'm just saying, let's have a look. It's gotten ramped up to serious fake news situation. But I'm going to look at the cards again, and then we're going to let it rest for a while on the war situation, okay? Okay, so that's Iran. I wanted that one to be Iran. Okay, so they're believing that they might have nuclear. I don't think so with that card. That card's like it's a temporary setback. So there's something going on, but it's nothing like you could consider literally war. Okay, so it's a five. Five. It's not a major arcana. Here's Israel. Okay, that's a six of pentacles. Things will sort themselves out. I feel like they're actually going to get this into an agreement. So it's nothing like they're saying. Something could be going on though, but take it down quite a few notches. Okay, quite a few notches. I also get a lot of the footage is from 3 or 4 months ago. So that's interesting. And now we got a big ace. So the public believe and see it. They think it's real. So they got the visuals somehow. They got the smoke, the visuals. It looks like there's these airstrikes. Okay. Interesting that they have these film crews filming them. Very interesting that they happen to know where to set their film and get the footage from. It's really interesting. Now we've got the 6. So we're going to see this move past this supposed war situation or close to war situation. We're going to see that get worked out once again, like we've been seeing. Okay. But nothing's as big as they're saying it is. And I'll just say that. I'll just say that again. Hey, Dusty. Dusty's got quite the duster tail. Yeah. So I'm just going to repeat that. And I'm not saying nothing's going on, but I'm saying it's not what it appears. Okay, so keeping that in mind going forward, that there's reasons why they're putting these things out there, and they're needing to do these wake-up calls. These are big psyop wake-up calls. And yeah, it's getting tiresome, but I guess they think it's working. So yeah, I'm not going to be trying to tell the White Hat Alliance what to do, I guess. Although I can go, what are they doing? So did we wake up some more people, in particular with these hurricanes? I've never seen so much BS propaganda. People that actually lived in Florida, and you guys, you've been chiming in. People that live there, and yeah, there's devastation. A lot of devastation was actually caused by the tornadoes. And there was a strange thing about those tornadoes. They happened before the hurricane hit, which apparently is odd. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but people from Florida are saying usually they come after or during the hurricane, and they don't usually touch down before, but even a day or two before they were having these hurricanes going all the way through. And that's incredible. And I had no idea. So I've never lived in Florida. I really didn't know anything about how the weather works there, but a lot of great people on the channel are from Florida, and they filled me in on the situation. Okay, so even that. So what if people from there were saying is there was nothing normal about any of it, how it was being reported, what actually happened with it. Yeah. And a lot of the damage caused by actually the tornadoes. Yes, the winds were devastating as well, but nothing like they were saying they were. Okay, but now they've got flooding. So now the ongoing flooding, okay, which is strange because the hurricane wasn't nearly as bad as they were saying it was going to be, but now the flooding is really bad. So where is that flooding coming from? Okay, yeah, there's so many questions. Anyway, so is it waking people up, everything that's been going on here? I mean, there's even a hurricane even supposedly headed to and or already supposedly hit. I gotta look at the news again on this one, but the UK, in a place that's never had a hurricane. It just makes no sense. So anybody living in the area, they said that hurricane was hitting in the UK. Did it already hit? I'm not sure. Please let us know, because we're really getting a blackout of news on that. Okay, so let us know what was happening there if you're from there. So here we go. So yeah, the hardship of it and the unnatural and unexpected consequences of everything that's been going on with these two hurricanes in particular, and how odd they are. Also, the fact that so it looks like it's also waking people up to they have to fend for themselves and other humans and each other, or they're going to help each other. The humans are helping each other, but their governments are definitely not being any help whatsoever. And FEMA was absolutely proved themselves to be literally demonic. They're the enemy, actually. If I was living in Florida, and I'm not telling you guys how to behave or whatever, but I'd be chasing those FEMA people the heck off my property if they came anywhere near me and or my property. They have no authority, okay? And I don't believe FEMA's had authority for a really long time. So I feel like those are just programmed minions at this point. And really, FEMA's been taken apart as far as I can tell. And from what I'm getting in the cards. So yeah, honestly, authorities that are strutting and not doing good for you or your community in those kind of situations, they're not your authority. You guys do not comply. Okay, so here we've got 10. And so when the dust settles, we will see a large increase in an awakened people around the control, but something's also coming on the heels of all of this. So there's a lot more things coming that'll really help that awakening. So that's part of it, but there's going to be way more things coming, likely to do with, as Cliff High's been saying this for ages, we've also been getting it as true, aliens and encounters with aliens, or information coming out about aliens. So fascinating. That's also going to wake a lot of people up. But yeah, so the weather control situation and obviousness that there's something been controlling our weather, yes, that's also waking people up. Once the dust settles, because people are still reeling from what happened, especially if they're in those areas. Okay, so let's look at... Okay, did the hurricane calm down because of people's prayers / visualizations? Or was it taken down by the white hats, or just false reporting all along? Okay, so I'm going to say the amount of pictures out there on the various different websites and weather sites, weather channels, like everybody seemed to be showing a different picture, okay? And a lot of it looked fake. Okay, so there was the picture of the big, what was it, a skull at some point, where it's like, oh, it's like the biggest hurricane ever, when they were toting it out as the biggest hurricane ever. Okay, that's an insult to the people in Florida where this thing hit, because it was nowhere near what they've had to put up with. Okay, so yeah, there you go. It's an insult to those people, because they've lived through so much bigger things than that. And people, like, it was just a shit show how it was being reported. And I knew there was a purpose behind it. There was lots of purposes behind that, outing all kinds of people, and also people just jumping on the bandwagon without doing their research. Also people with, and I feel sorry for some of those people. They don't have tarot cards to check in on these things. You know what I mean? Because when I looked at it, it literally looked like it was going to touch down between a 2, maybe a 3. And technically, the winds looked like about a 2, almost a 3. And then they were calling it between a 2 and a 3, depending on what channel you were on. Okay, so we saw, and I shared all kinds of information about how it was being reported actually when it touched down. So it was like, yeah, it was all, fascinating. Anyway, and of course, the reason I was outing it, as I wasn't trying to say it's not going to be dangerous. I was just trying to say, you guys do not, like, and I got some reprimands. Some people wrote me and were like, okay, I'm doing an injustice to people, telling them it's going to downgrade to a 2 or a 3. No, I'm reading the cards and telling the truth, which is what I do. Okay, and never once did I say, don't listen, stay in your house. This is going to be a nothing burger. I never said that. I always said, use your own instincts. Here's what my cards say. Okay, so for the people that were, poo-pooing what I was saying and or giving me the hard time about it, okay, I'm reading the cards. Okay, yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. Anyway, that's my lecture for the day. Okay, so what are we doing here? So we're going. Was it the people's prayers? Was it the white hats? Or was it false reporting all along? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. I will say this. A lot of people are addicted to fear porn. So when they get it, a real obvious dose of it, some of them just gravitate over to it. It's fascinating. Do you know what I mean? If there was really, really something looking that bad, it would have come up as the tower, the devil. It wasn't coming up as that. You know what I mean? And I know I trust my cards. I really do. And I'm not telling you to trust them or anything, but use your own instincts always. That's what I say. Always use your own instincts in your gut on these things. Okay, but giving a tarot card reader heck about how they read something before it even happens. Okay, that's pretty interesting, right? Let's see here. So we've got the Knight of Wands, white hat. So some of this manipulation and even some of the truthers spreading all the fear porn, they were either whispered in the ear by and or, just going along with the, some people gravitate, like I said, to fear porn. Some people are doing it for the hits. Some people are doing it because they really believe that. Some people are doing it, I think, because they're useful. There was a useful reason why, or they were told or asked to do that, like maybe certain, Juan 07 type. So they're like used in the organization of the white hats and or fed information to say things a certain way. There's a few big websites like that. You guys know the ones I'm probably talking about there. Okay, you know what I mean? The ones that always, like the guy who was that was really, was it Stu Peters? I can't remember, who was really yupping up the whole snake venom. Okay, snake venom's in all our water. It's like, I think Phil was all about the snake venom too and stuff like that. And it's like, also that same guy, was it the same guy that was really like Stu Peters? Was that the same guy that was really all about we're all going to run out of diesel in the US? That was last year, just before fall. And by October, everything screeches to a halt because there's this one ingredient that you have to add to diesel to make diesel work, and they were out of it. And that turned out, and I looked at the cards and I was like, nope, not going to happen like that. It turned out to be total fear porn. Like, we have to be careful of these huge, we're screwed, nothing good's going to happen, we're done for. Like, how many times have we heard that? And we've lived through that and actually evolved past it. And all it's really done is wake up more people. Okay, like, we got to remember and look back at how these things are done. How do they create a psyop? Why do they create a psyop? And some of us have to responsibly use our instincts now. We know how to use them and not get dragged around by the newest story that's we're going to be devastated, we're losing, this is it. You know what I mean? I'm so sick of those stories. And I'm not sure, like some of these are white hats doing this, right? So that's interesting because it was white hats doing that, okay? But I'm just refusing to fall for it. And I am going to report when I see that, no, take that down to half, because I've been consistently right when I say that. So I'm going with what the cards say. I'm not going with the fear porn. But if there's something to really be afraid of and I see it in the cards, I will be telling you guys. Trust me. That's just what I'm like. Okay, so we got the Knight of Wands there, but for some reason, this is a white hat thing. They were put, I still think it's so people will notice what these guys do. I think they are in charge of the media more than we know, maybe all of it by now. And they're still running it like a deep state operation. Not always, because sometimes they leak some incredible, there's been some incredible, awesome leaks, okay, that could only be white hat. Okay, so they're utilizing it now, I think, to continue the wake up. I mean, it's unfortunate because, some people that watch our videos here, they get caught up in that. So just be really aware that that's still happening. We've got Temperance in the middle here. Okay, so Temperance, that feels like the storm itself was never those degrees they were saying. So that means it never got to be a 5 and a 6 like they were saying. I doubt if it even got a 4. Okay, because when you looked at the actual websites that weren't maybe tied to any agendas, or at least tied to the government and or the mainstream media, those websites were reporting it around, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and started out in the 20s, 40s, 50s, and 60s miles per hour. And you have to be like 90 or 80 something to even be a category 1. So according to the cards here, the thing was never a category 4. Okay, let's take it down. Take it down. Unbelievable. Okay, so here we've got the 6. Not to say people's prayers and visualization. That definitely helped. That absolutely helped. And also just remembering that humanity creates. By mass intention, we create things. That was part of it too, but I feel like it really never was. They didn't need to whip this thing up. I feel like it was already created by the bad guys in the past as something that was going to happen at a certain time. It came to be. It was taken down. So this is like we're taking it down. It was already taken down to a not as nearly as dangerous as, of course, it was meant to be, just like the other one, Helen. Okay, and then who was reporting it and all the BS around it looks like it was instigated at least by White Hat reporting. Okay, so they're doing it for a reason. There's comms there. There's also like waking the normies up, to maybe even to wake them up that, wow, because what you saw wasn't anything like, so if you did any kind of investigation, you could see there was some kind of discrepancy. Also, so many people were getting online going, I don't know, you know what I mean? I mean, what did Joe call it? He was in Tampa, a nothing burger. You know what I mean? I mean, the tornadoes were something burgers. Somebody from this website was saying their own brother got his house taken out, and I believe it was by a tornado. So correct me if I'm wrong. Was it by the hurricane winds, or was it a tornado that took down your brother's house? The person that reported that, in the comment section, let us know. We need more details. Okay, so this is very interesting. Here we've got the Ace of Wands here, and the 3 of Pentacles. So the Ace of Wands. Yeah, I feel like that was all the people coming together. That really, really helped. That was a big victory. We've got the victory in the middle. So like I said, that absolutely helped. Probably took it down one more, one more category, basically. So that's, wow, it was a combination. It never was as bad as they said, and it got downgraded with the help of all those thoughtful, well-meaning people that were putting the energy out there. Okay, let's have a look. The Northern Lights. So a lot of people were sharing those beautiful pink and green Northern Lights, or what were called Northern Lights, but they were showing up all across the U.S. and Canada. I mean, Eastern Canada. We didn't see them here, and we're in the north. We should see them. I'm close to the Yukon. You know what I mean? I'm close to, yeah, the north, the real north. I'm the northwest of Canada, the furthest most northwest of Canada, by the way. Yeah, before you get to the Northwest Territories. Okay, let's have a look. Or yeah, the Yukon. Anyway, let's have a look here. What do we got? Visualizations, or was it Northern Lights? Some people are wondering if that was the solar flare. So if it was solar flare activity and not northern, like wasn't Northern Lights, we should see, yeah, maybe the Seven of Cups, the Moon, the Four of Pentacles, sort of blocking or stopping, some no cards kind of thing. And or even the Magician might show up. But if it was in fact sun related in a positive spot, we should see the sun, the actual sun card. Let's have a look. Five. Interesting. Wow. Okay, so we're getting some sword cards. I wonder if they were trying out something visual on us. Look at all the sword cards here. I wonder if it was neither of those things and you guys were being treated to something that was man-made or man-created. A light show. Wow, wow. And it has something, or it's aligning with, or going to help us get to the truth about something. So things like this. And it feels to me like they might have been practicing. So that's interesting. Like trying it out to see how many people reported seeing it. So that feels like a created thing. So we got a lot of manipulation of the matrix here. Weather manipulation, visuals. Like it could even be signaling when they out that they've been manipulating the skies, the clouds, the whole weather system. Well, the moon, we know. Sometimes people have reported and even shown evidence that the moon looks like a facade, like a film running. Okay, so how did they do that? So people all over the world see it as the moon. Like crazy. I think the technology they're using is way beyond what we know about. Okay, and I feel like they're getting closer to outing that. And this is an example of what they can do and how they can manipulate. Okay, so wow. That is amazing. Whew. They could do all, if they can do that, I mean, we got the Truman Show happening. We're in the Truman Show, you guys. That's crazy. I don't think we even know the half of it. Okay, so let's keep looking here. White hats capture the high horseman human trafficker. So apparently one of the biggest human trafficker groups, I doubt if it's just one person, and known as the high horseman human traffickers. Okay, that's just how it's written here. In North Carolina was captured the other day. So we saw reports about that. I shared them. I mean, we have no idea, is that true? I mean, that's obviously not mainstream media, but almost nothing in the mainstream media is true anyway. So who cares if it didn't come from mainstream media? But let's have a look if that's true. I mean, if that is true, that's pretty exciting. A big win for the white hats. Let's see. Did they really capture one of the biggest human trafficking groups? A victory. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, people. They really did. This is huge. That's huge news. They've been working at it for years. We've got temperance. So while everybody was treated to that unbelievable weather situation and the outing of manipulated weather and unfortunately, people living on the Florida coast and wherever it was affecting people. Okay, because maybe I'm not counting in some areas. Okay, anyone affected by what happened was obviously busy. I mean, they were busy battening down the hatches and getting ready for and withholding, and some of them lost, some apparently 4 lives, I believe it was. So if it was more, let me know, you guys, on this latest one. A lot more on Helen. But anyway, so people are losing lives, livelihoods, physical homes, etc., from all of this weather manipulation. Meanwhile, though, at least one win we could say in that same time frame was yes to a huge trafficker. And I guess it looks like the White Hats utilized all of that, and they got it because they got to go in when they can, when there's less people around. So it's probably another reason why they were happy to yup up the hurricane that was coming, to make sure everybody gets out of town and out of their way. They probably wanted to go in a certain area to pick these criminal scumbags up, because they're likely working underground. I mean, that's how they do these huge operations with human trafficking. They go underground, literally. Okay, so they need people out of the way to do that. So while all of this was going on in Florida, yes, they did capture, and I bet they did a lot more than that too, you guys. Okay. Now, I'll just mention, I looked into what happened to Disney, and there's reports that it was flooded, which turns out those are manipulated pictures or really old pictures from another flooding, or apparently it isn't flooded. It might have suffered some damage, but certainly not enough to even close it for a couple of days. So another time, I'm not going to ask today, but I'll ask about what's going on with Disney. Let's go. Yeah, because I feel like that could take a lot more investigation, etc. Bodies washing up. So after the Helen hurricane, a lot of people were reporting bodies floating in the water and the flooding. Okay, but here's the weird kicker to that. A lot of them were not from the area. Nobody recognized them. So were these bodies coming from underground tunnels being washed out? This is what somebody asks. And or from operations that were ongoing, White Hat Alliance. Okay, let's have a look. Where were those bodies coming from? Now, that happened before in some flooding in other areas of the world. Remember when they were reporting flooding? I think it was in Portugal. I might be wrong about that. Was it in Europe? Anyway, somewhere in Europe, and people were reporting bodies, floating by, and they were not local to the area either. So yes, similar stories have been around for a few years now about that. And we did look into it, John Claude and I think, yeah, we got it as underground tunnels, getting cleared out. From the war. So the war on trafficking. I feel like it could be both children from those tunnels. So let us know if some of them were young adults or children, and also people involved in, like people that they were flushing out of the tunnels. So I feel like, yes, this would have come out from the tunnels. Not all of them, but that's where a lot of this could have been coming from here. Yeah, I feel like the White Hat military didn't do it on purpose, but some of them got away, floated down in front of people. So that's like the war sort of coming out for everybody to view. So if anyone in the chat knows of anyone personally, if you personally know them and you heard a story about somebody seeing something like this, let us know how that looked. Also, if you personally saw anything like that, we'd love to know or hear from you. We'd love to know your story there. Okay, so what else do we have? We got the trafficker. Oh, Juan 07. I got one more about Juan. Okay, he's recently, and Cliff really got mad at him on X about this, right? He got called out by Cliff for sort of not defending chemtrails, but saying they're not dangerous. Basically calling them a nothing burger. Now, I'm going to just say I've looked at them many times in the last 3 or 4 years. You guys probably remember. And I did always get, they were taken over by the good guys. And whatever's like, they may be still doing it to show people and get people talking about it. But in fact, they weren't dangerous substances anymore. I've got that several times. So if when Cliff hears that I've got that, he might be mad at me too. Okay, it's like, well, what can I do? I'm reading the cards. Okay, so I'm wondering if Juan 07 meant it that way, right? Because he's saying, okay, it's not a danger. So let's have a look at what did Cliff mean by that? Does he mean they never were? That's kind of how I think Cliff might have thought he would, like what he was saying there. And I don't think he meant it that way. No, Juan is saying what I've been saying. Okay, so there you go. They were bad. They were stopped by the white hats. That's something they stepped away from. So whatever they're now pumping out is not dangerous to your health. Now, there may still be some operations in the world where they're actually putting those dangerous chemicals still out there. Okay, I don't know that for sure, but I'm getting here in the US, what Juan was talking about was that it's been stepped and taken over. That's what the cards are getting. If you don't feel safe breathing in that stuff, like take precautions, obviously. And if you're in an area that's riddled in them, I'm not saying stay out under that. Get to shelter, get in some shelter, take precautions. If your instincts tell you there's something bad in there. Okay, but I'm just saying what Juan was talking about was the same thing I was talking about. A lot of these operations have been taken over. That's actually good news. Okay. And I hope that gets to be a known thing, and then they just stop it altogether. That would be really great. All right, people. I'll leave it there for the day and send in everybody ravens. You guys take care. By the way, Dusty is just doing great, right back to his old rowdy little self again. Bye-bye. So that hurricane was created originally from the weather seeding, I'll call it that, and manipulation of the deep state and dark cult. And I believe they have a way to do it where ahead of time they can put these things into motion and then they actually create themselves. So I'm not sure what they're using for that. It can't just be cloud seeding. I'm sure they've got a way more technology than just that. But anyway, so it's definitely part of the war effort to create these hurricanes and a lot of the weather manipulation over the years. And I believe this is what's being outed. And lots of people are starting to chime in and actually realize that their forest fires are largely created. Part of the agenda could be global warming and or global manipulation of your idea that the planet's weather is being affected by everyday people, the cows, how many cows we have, like this CO2, all kinds of things. Okay, like they'll use depending like who's manipulating it for what reason. And this is saying very clearly that this, even Milton, and this whole hurricane sort of sequence, because there's some other ones coming after Milton too, already was set in motion, and it's part of the war, and it was deep, dark hats. Okay, so it was meant to be. So in the past, it would have been, you bet, a Category 5. That was the intention when they created the original blueprint of this thing. Okay. Yep. And this is in the middle right now. So outing secrets being outed. I feel like the white hats could even be partly responsible for some of these stories. They're trying to get your attention. They want the digital soldiers to go see the person that did that in the chat. They went and looked and used some common sense and actually told everybody what was really going on. Okay, we need that. We need that. Okay, because all that fear could have helped create this to, like that would just, and it also feeds the bad guys. Okay, fear feeds these guys, right? Okay, so this is an outing of. So I don't think it was only that. I think there was probably a lot of different things. Like some people just wanted hits. Some people jumped on the bandwagon. People like they don't go investigate. They heard it was a Category 5. So their little YouTube weather channel starts reporting a Category 5 when in fact, it is in fact not even a Category 1 yet. Okay, and it doesn't, not to say it can't become a Category 5. I don't know how long that would take. Could it do that between now and Wednesday? Maybe, right? So let's have a look at how does it land? What does it land at? What do we got here? So we've got an ace. Let's keep looking around that ace. We've got a 9 and a 2. I'd say it lands around a Category 2. So that not, I'm not saying that's good. I mean, hurricanes aren't good. Okay. But it's more towards a hurricane or a Category 2 than it is a 5. Okay. But it will pick up some speed, I think, with that ace. Okay. But if it's not even a 1 yet, even if it doubled, it'd be just under a 2. Okay. So that's what we're looking at there. Unnecessary fear for the population. So that was a big, they're trying to draw your attention to what these people do to create loosh. Okay, you guys. Okay, so we need to understand what's being done here. So lots of hyping up, but it maybe hits land at a 2. Okay, and I feel like could even be not quite a 2. Okay, so you could round it up at a 2. Okay, so that's good news. Now I'm going to do one more just to make sure I'm getting this right. How much, is this going to be incredibly destructive, or what's going to happen with it to the people of Tampa and who are in the eye of the storm? So there's all these people talking about they're in the eye of the storm. How are they going to fare? Let's have a look just to double check on that, because I don't want to misquote or have people stay in their homes when they should leave. Okay, if you're feeling intuitively like get the heck out of the way or just to be safe and you got a family and you can possibly get out of the way, then do, but I'm just telling you what the cards are saying. Okay, so let's have a look at what I got. How bad is the damage? on Wednesday when this thing hits. Milton. So we've got the devil there and the 7. The devil and the 7. So it won't be a 5. Some people will be reporting it as a 3. I'm getting it for more like a 2 or under. We do have judgment. We do have the tower and 6. Okay, so there's going to be some areas that like take it down. You're going to hear a lot of things. This is what we're hearing. This is what's actually happening. Okay, take it down about half to what you hear. So what they report and what actually happens, I feel like is take it down in half. So you might hear reports. It's like they don't want to be told they're wrong, or it didn't really, like they don't want to be shown that they're over reporting this thing. So they're going to really show you wherever it does damage, they're going to really, really hype it up. Okay, so lots of hyping up, but this goes down about half here. And it's more of a revelation about the bedeviling of or how they spin this stuff. Okay, so there'd be lots of different spins for different reasons. Lots of people hyping this for different reasons. Views, hits on their website, hits on their Facebook page, because a lot of this stuff's reported on the Facebook page and different websites and YouTube channels. Also, like fear mongers, people that are working for, and they might not even know it, the dark hats trying to create loosh. Okay, it wanted to be devastating, but it got way taken down. Okay, so this thing's already been taken down by a lot. And a lot of what you see as the damages, take it down in half here. Okay, so we've got the 3 and yeah, so they may end up telling you a Hurricane 3, Category 3 hit the land. Okay, so I feel like if you technically look at the actual wind factor, which measures, is it a 1, 2, or 3? You would more call it a 2. They're going to technically maybe call it a 3. And they're going to try, of course, to spin it like it's just Mother Nature. Okay, it's not. This was created. And I feel like they were created in the past and they're left to brew out there. And they create, like they set them in motion. That's how I always get it. And then they hit at different times. I don't know how they do it, but spell casting, I don't know. They got machines. I don't know what they're doing, but they create it. So it's already set in motion. And I feel like the white hats can take it down. They have things they can take it down with. I feel like intention and visualization can help bring these things down too. But hyping up the fear is definitely not what's needed. So, do what you need to do to feel safe for you and your family, but this won't be, I don't believe, anywhere like what they're right now saying. And also, I don't think it'll be as bad as the last one, that's for sure. But stay safe and sending everybody ravens. Because, if you do lose your vehicle or home in this, you won't, even if a lot of other people don't get hurt, you're going to feel the hurt. I mean, it's not fun for anybody who's losing property and, their stuff, you know what I mean? Getting blown around in these things. So I'm not trying to report it, but I'm just saying, so pay attention to the real website. Go read what I put on the top of the page. This was investigated by digital soldiers, and there's places you can go that are legit, actually recording the wind factor of these things. And then they also explain what the wind, say at 47 miles per hour, what does that mean? And that was an hour ago when I looked into it. I don't know what it would be at now. So, keep an eye on it that way so you can know yourself. You're not just going by the word of sensationalists and or people just trying to get some fear loose out of you. Okay, so just pay attention to it that way. Okay, now let's look at 23andMe security breach. So somebody wrote a big long explanation about it, but I'm not going to go into that other than to say the website 23andMe, which is like you can understand your ancestral background with those. I don't agree with any of those websites, by the way. I feel like you'd be foolish to have anything to do. Like, look at what they're asking you to divulge, okay, and what they're finding out about you, and you're actually sending your DNA. Absurd. Okay, absurd. It's about the craziest thing. It's about, like, please don't do that. Okay, just don't. As soon as I even heard of these things and I didn't know anything about deep state government, I suspected that governments not to be trusted, and I suspected a lot of things, but I didn't really technically know why I suspected those things. Okay, I knew that there was something wrong with websites that want you to send your DNA and all your personal information. Okay, so anyway, 23andMe had a big security breach, and it happened the very day that P. Diddy got his home raided. So look that up. I forget what day that was, not too long ago. So the P. Diddy story really overshadowed the 23andMe security breach, but this person goes on to write that the breach stole people's, so it was like a hack. So the hackers stole people's personal info, because there's a lot of info they collect on these 23andMe. Okay, and but they were targeting, get this, Chinese background, so people of Chinese heritage, and also Ashkenazi, hope I said that right, Ashkenazi Jews. Okay, so just those two, Chinese and Ashkenazi Jews. Those were the two backgrounds they were targeting in the theft of information. So that's very interesting and strange. Okay, so we're asking, what was that all about? Okay, because it got completely ignored in the news, by the way. Okay, totally covered up by this Diddy stuff, and maybe that was on by design, or maybe, I don't know. Like, let's have a look. I don't know why would they do that? So this is what we heard, the little bit we did hear about it. I feel like might be smoke and mirrors and could be fabricated or a lie. Like about who they targeted, that could be a lie, actually, because that's a smoke and mirrors card that's designed to create fear. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. And we've got, I wonder if it was even switched. So I wonder if what they really targeted was everybody but Chinese and this Jewish race. I wonder if they really targeted everybody else but those guys. Okay, because I feel like flip it all around, it says. It wasn't what it appears. And a lot of it was like what you're hearing is not true. So that's really interesting. We've got surrender here to the Queen of Cups. I also feel like this happened a long time ago. So the breach happened a long time ago and we're just hearing about it now. Okay, so this feels like a story they saved and they set it out there in the world now on purpose, so that it's like they're outing a whole bunch of things that have already happened. So it feels like it's part of the theater and movie that we're watching in a way. So it feels like it was designed to trigger. It's a trigger. It feels like a trigger. And it's a lot of what you're hearing is the opposite. So I feel like who was really targeted could have been the opposite of what they said. Now we've got the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Wands. Let's have a look. Queen of Cups. Yeah, it's designed to, it's a trigger. Interesting. Yeah, the real people they were collecting the information on was the opposite of that. So, okay, so, well, I'm even going to say of European descent, of redhead, blonde, and fair descent, if that makes any sense. So all the races that would include that. That's really whose info was gathered. And I feel like it happened some time ago. Like we're a couple years off on the timing on this. So they've released that. Yeah, I don't know why it would get spun like that. I wonder if who spun that? Who spun that? Yeah, the way it was, I feel like that might, right before it went out, it got spun with the lie about who was being targeted. So that could have been some minions, sort of the last hanging on minions of this deep state dark cult who would spin it to their advantage somehow. Or they're just trying to desperately survive what's happening, which they're not going to. Okay, so that's very interesting. So this stuff's, a lot of it that you see coming out has already happened, by the way. Wow, okay. Okay, so Hurricane Milton, we did that. Travel in October. Let's have a look. I got something in my eye, so if you see my eye fluttering, that's what's going on. I got a little something in there. Travel in. A lot of people worried. I mean, this October, there's a lot of things poised that could happen. It could be like a shit show. Okay. Yeah, it's been already, and it could be even more so by the looks of, all the truthers and what they're saying, what could happen this month. I would be careful, especially by the 15th and actually by the 12th. Actually, I'm getting in my head. I said 15th out loud, but the 12th came into my head. I would be very careful to travel. You may be held up and or flights canceled, in particular in North America. So holdups and flights canceled. You want to wait. I'm thinking more like end of November, December, better time. So really rethink it if you can possibly not, especially air travel, I get. So land travel, not so bad, but air travel, that's where it's going to get tricky. Okay, so let's do an update on Rainier Fuelmich. Fuelmich. I can never say that guy's name. Fuelmich. Rainier Fuelmich. So he was that lawyer who was doing that big, like kind of a mock trial, but for him, I think it was real, of all the people that created the pandemic, all the governments, like a bunch of key figures, and he was calling them basically to a kind of to justice in the public eye. And they did a trial, like a mock trial, where or you could say a public trial, which maybe didn't hold actual power, but certainly a lot of people watched it, and there was a lot of truth came out in that trial. Okay, anyway, he got arrested supposedly. I don't remember where he was traveling. Was it Mexico? I can't remember, but him and his wife were traveling. He got picked up, apparently. So here, and I'll just fill you in. I've done lots of it. I've looked at him lots of times, and I'm just going to say this for all the new people. I never get that he got that. I never got that was true. I got that he's being protected, and they used the story to outrage people. Okay, they need people like that to be picked up in the public, and it'll outrage people, okay, to help move along the devolution of the officialdoms that can even get away with stuff like that. Okay, so it's meant to wake people up. Okay, so I didn't get he actually got. I get that he's in protection. Okay, so let's see if that's still true. Okay, because some people are worried about him. He's supposedly since May been in what's that called? Solitary confinement or whatever. Let's have a look. What's going on with them? We're going to see. Is he really in prison? Maybe he's since been put in. Maybe I got it wrong the first time, third time, fourth. I must have looked at it about 4 times. Let's have a look. We've got the 10. And we've got the, well, he does whatever he's doing, he doesn't really like it. It's hard on him. We've got the world. I feel like he was taken completely out of his country and part of the war. So he's a part of the war, and they're using him in the war. Okay, and he's completely safe, though. That card's completely safe. He might have even been taken off planet, frankly, but he's not really liking where he had to go. Okay, because think about it, that would disrupt your life. And now you're, like that, you have to be part of this big movie playing out that you got picked up and you're in solitary confinement. And, that's a whole lot of, it's a strategy. So they used him as a strategy. They took him somewhere safe where the cards won't tell you where it is. Could even be off the Earth plane. I mean, like, interesting. Apparently they've got control of the moon. So I wonder if it was there. Or where is it? We're not sure. So we've got the Empress here. He's safe and comfortable, but he's not very happy about how long it's taking and how long he has to stay in hiding. Once again, I do not get this guy in jail. Okay, so I think we'd see the 4 of Swords, the 8 of Swords, the cards like that if he was really in jail. Yeah. Okay, let's have a look. Moon update. So some people are saying, and I haven't seen the moon for days and days. Could be the cloud cover, of course, right? Let's do a moon update. Now, I did this, I think, so yesterday, Jean-Claude did a show with JSNIP4, and I call him Joe. And they did a special show and talked about a lot of cool things. And towards the end of the show, Jean-Claude invited me to come on. So I came on and did some readings. And one of the readings I did, because somebody asked in the questions, was the moon. They hadn't seen the moon. So then other people were sending us pictures of the moon, including Cliff High. He'd recently taken some great shots of the moon. And that was only a few days ago. So people are seeing it, and some places they're not. Okay, and so what I got, I'll just remind you guys, if you hadn't seen it, it's a free Rumble show, by the way. So you go on over and have a look. It was a really great show on Sunday Night Rumble. So Beyond Mystic, Jean-Claude at Beyond Mystic Rumble channel. Go check it out. That's a free platform, and all the videos are, lots of great videos on there, by the way. That's a good show to watch, and I'm towards halfway at least anyway. I jump on and do some readings. So what was I getting at there? Oh, so I just want to remind everybody what I said on there, which was the moon is being cloaked in certain areas. They want everybody's talking about it and eyes on. So some areas you will not see the moon and others you will. Okay, so I feel like they're just trying to get at people talking about it and eyes on the moon situation. Something's going to go down with the moon, which we've been getting this for a long time. Maybe they're going to out that it's, oh, hang on. Maybe they're going to out that it's not a natural thing. Sorry, just making sure. Yeah, there. Oh, brother. So when there's a phone call, my phone does that. It's unfortunate. But anyway, maybe they're going to out that it's not a natural occurring. Like it's not what they said it was, which is like a dead big rock up there orbiting the Earth because of gravity and creating gravitational pull. And it's in our gravity force. So, you know, for hundreds and thousands of years, it just circles around the Earth. Okay. I don't think that's it. Like there's history that says the moon was placed at a certain time in history. It showed up in stories and myth as a thing, an object, but it wasn't there before. Okay, so the moon is a placed something, and I believe it's only made with a facade surface to look like rock, but it is in fact some kind of a spaceship, death ship, mothership, I don't know. And it's been fought over for a really long time. Back and forth, back and forth. It's probably been used as a prison. It's been used as all kinds of things. So I believe that none of the stories about it are true. It's like it's BS. It may affect tides, but not in the way we think. Okay, so what we're asking now is an update on the moon. When do we get to know what really is going on with the moon? That's kind of what I'm getting at here. That's the long-winded way of getting at it. Wheel of Fortune. So a lot of what we know is going to turn out to be not true. Lots of lies around it. So that's lies and smoke and mirrors around the moon and the idea of it. So a lot of what people think it is not. Okay, interesting. So truth about it looks like it's coming. It's already been exposed. This community knows a lot about it. Okay, Bruce Sees All was getting all kinds of things about the moon. Okay, and by the way, yeah, I did a read on Bruce Sees All as well with Jean-Claude's blessing. Yeah, I won't talk about that right now, but go look for it in, I think it was in one of our Beyond the News. And I believe it could have been on a Thursday, but I'm not 100% sure. So you guys will have to go find that because I'm not going to do that right now. Okay, so what do we got here? We've got the King of Swords. So truth about the moon coming out. The closer we get to, okay, before it truly comes out to the general population, though, I feel like, or right about the same time, I feel like that's when Trump's also placed in his rightful place. Okay, so he, you know, I don't know how exactly it'll happen, but coming up real soon here, I feel like the truth about who Trump really is and what he's been doing is going to be out. And it feels like right about that time or shortly after or just before, either just before, during, or right after that time, that's when the truth about the moon comes out. So a lot of this stuff's all going to come out at the same time. Wow. Okay, let's do one on, I also got that I'll just say what's happening with that second moon. So a lot of people say they can't see it, but apparently you need a really good telescope to see it anyway in the first place. I believe that's a mothership as well, doing a big drive-by. I've been talking about this, having a look at how people are doing here. And I feel like at a certain point, so they're not willing to show themselves just yet, but they'll be more visible. But right now, they're also cloaking. Okay, so what else do we got? Tina Peters. So I'll end it on this. So Tina Peters, and I had to ask somebody who that was because I don't always keep track of all the news. Okay. And yeah, because I live here in Canada on the Haida Gwaii. I just wasn't getting the news on her. Not that I watch any mainstream, but I wasn't even getting non-mainstream news about her. So I apologize for that. So she is a Mesa County clerk, and she outed the dysfunction vote swap of the Dominion machines. So that's just in a nutshell. She kept track of how they swapped votes, and she was a big part of outing that. And some creepy judge, who's obviously a cabal judge, basically put her in jail for it instead of, so she's outing truth, and she got put in jail for it. So a lot of people are all worried about her. Juan O'Savin says, don't worry about her. She'll be okay. Why did he say that? I'm thinking maybe it has something to do with similar situation as Rainier Fuel Mitch. I feel like we might have another situation, because a lot of the times when I look into people in these times getting jailed, etc., like the J6 peoples, I didn't get they were like, it wasn't the way people were reporting it, like the horrific conditions of the jails. They were even in jail. I feel like they were in protective custody of some kind, hidden away. Okay, so that made a lot of people mad, but I got to just read what the cards say. Let's have a look at this woman, Tina Peters. Is she really in jail, or is it true around what they're saying about what they're doing to her? Because, if the fake government is really just puppeted by the white hats, like I've been getting for years, why would they do that? Okay. Yeah, so that's really interesting. Let's have a look. What's going on with Tina Peters? Well, she's definitely out of the public eye. We've got the Three of Swords. So she's absolutely not liking wherever it is she is. So she's somewhere that she doesn't like, but it's a secret where she really is. Okay, and it's a movie, what they're saying. So she doesn't like that she had to, but I feel like she's in some kind of protection. Okay, so yeah, we've got she's okay. She's okay, and that's why Juan O'Savin said she'd be okay. Okay, he didn't want to give the details, but that guy's involved with the white hats. Okay, so as frustrating as he is as a human, he's a white hat read in. Okay, yeah, she will be okay. She's in protection. She's not in jail, and a lot of the stories they're saying are not true. Part of the movie. Right? But she definitely doesn't like that she had to, like, it wouldn't be that fun to get yanked out of your life and hidden away for your safety and protection. Okay, so she's not really liking that she has to be out of circulation. I mean, her family all has to go along with it. They probably had to sign NDAs. I mean, it's not that fun, right? But she's doing it for the good of humanity. So, wow. Okay, everybody. So anybody in the way of these hurricanes, in particular in Florida, and or what they're calling in the eye of the storm, I'm sending you all ravens. I hope my reading is correct about it. It looked like it might be called a category 3, but actually when you technically looked at it, could be only a category 2. I'm hoping that's true. I actually hope it dissipates into nothing. That's my intention and vision. So let's stop fearing and start intending and visualizing and seeing those people as safe. If it really is going after Disney and Disney World or whatever they're saying that's in the path of it, let it just hit Disney. Okay, let's just devastate Disney, but make sure all the kids are out of there and parents, and only the bad guys are in there at the time it does. That's my intention and vision. Thank you so much, everybody, and sending you ravens again. Bye bye.
Tránh đổ oan cho người tốt, cũng không để lọt lưới kẻ xấu. Bản quan quyết định tạm giam Mã Ngang. Trước khi vụ án được làm sáng tỏ thì nhất quyết không được thả ra. Đồng thời ta sẽ cử Ngộ Tác mổ bụng khám nghiệm tử thi của lệnh tôn, kiểm tra xem có bị nội thương hay không. Còn gia đình các ngươi phải đi tìm thầy lang đã khám bệnh cho lệnh tôn năm ngoái, xin lại đơn thuốc đã kê lúc đó để làm bằng chứng cho việc bệnh tình của lệnh tôn chưa nặng tới mức có thể lưu lại di căn chí mạng về sau. Chưa hết, gia đình các ngươi phải mau chóng sai người đến Hồ Quảng tìm cho bằng được thầy lang đã xem bệnh cho cha người lúc đó, xin lại đơn thuốc chữa bệnh. Đương nhiên còn phải mời danh nghi phủ thành, người đã rút nọc độc của rắn ra khỏi người lệnh tôn, xác định là nó không thể gây chết người. Như vậy bản quan mới có thể dựa vào đó mà phán Mã Ngang tội tử hình. Dạ, tìm lại thầy lang đã khám bệnh cho cha tiểu dân thì không có, đến phủ thành mời danh y, việc này cũng không làm được. Nhưng mà còn phải tới tận Hồ Quảng tìm thầy lang kê đơn lúc đó. Có thể ông ta đã chuyển nhà đến nơi khác, vậy chẳng phải đi xa xôi ngàn dặm vô ích hay không? Mẫn Huyền Lệnh cười thầm một tiếng. Đây mới chỉ là chiêu đầu tiên mà thôi. Nếu nhà họ Vương vẫn cứng đầu, thực sự đi ra ngàn dặm xa xôi hơn, lấy đơn thuốc của thầy lang về, ta sẽ an bài để Mã Ngang kháng án, yêu cầu Vương gia phải đi Hồ Quảng một chuyến nữa, lấy thêm giấy xác nhận của tiệm thuốc. Nếu vẫn không xong, ta còn có thể bắt hai huynh đệ nhà hắn quay về quê cũ, tìm quan phủ địa phương để xin cấp văn thư xác nhận cha của bọn chúng trước giờ luôn mạnh khỏe. Tóm lại, lộ trình đi đi về càng xa càng tốt, chứng cứ yêu cầu càng chi tiết càng tốt. Vừa cho thấy mình xét án cẩn thận, xem trọng nhân mạng, lại khiến cho bọn chúng phải khổ sở đi tới đi lui, sức cùng lực kiệt, đến khi phải bỏ cuộc không truy cứu nữa mới thôi. Đây là một trong những mánh khóe thường dùng trong bảo hiểm khi phải bồi thường cho khách hàng. Vương Đại Vương Nhị ngẩn người, đang định biện bạch thêm vài câu, Mẫn Huyền Lệnh đã trừng hai mắt đập bốp ván gỗ xuống bàn, cao giọng nói: Được rồi, giải nghi phạm Mã Ngang và Đại Lao, trông chừng cho cẩn thận. Những người khác hãy trở về nhà, chờ cổ chủ là nhà họ Vương tìm được chứng cứ thì bản huyện sẽ lại thăng đường thẩm vấn tiếp. Bãi đường, đám nha dịch cùng dạ một tiếng vang rền. Ngay sau đó liền có hai nha dịch cường tráng chạy đến, lôi sộc Mã Ngang ra ngoài. Mặc dù đám hung tần ác sát này nhắm vào Mã Ngang, nhưng cũng làm cho huynh đệ nhà họ Vương bị dọa khiếp vía. Lời còn chưa ra khỏi miệng đã vội nuốt vào. Hai huynh đệ nhà họ Vương lặng lẽ quay về nhà, cảm thấy nếu cứ như vậy mà bỏ qua thì thật không cam tâm. Bàn bạc mất 2 hôm, bọn họ mới quyết định để Vương Đại thu dọn hành trang đi Hồ Quảng một chuyến, đợi lấy được chứng cứ về rồi sẽ đi phủ thành mời người. Việc buôn bán trong nhà trước mắt sẽ do Vương Nhị lo liệu. Đang lúc bàn bạc, vợ của Vương Đại chạy vội vào lo lắng nói: Tướng công, thiếp từng nghĩ nhà mình mấy hôm nay không có khách ghé vào, có lẽ là do nhà mới của người mất, ngại sắp đến Tết, cho nên các khách quen có phần kiên kỵ. Nhưng hóa ra là do người của Sở Dịch thừa tung tin đồn nhảm khắp nơi, nói nhà mình làm ăn gian dối, lấy giả cháo thật, lấy kén cháo tốt, ép mua ép bán. Chẳng những khắp Kiên Minh này ai ai cũng biết, mà nghe nói cái bọn dịch sứ, tức là những người chuyên đưa văn thư từ dịch trạm này tới dịch trạm khác cho triều đình. Cái bọn dịch sứ đáng chết ấy còn truyền công văn đi khắp nơi, chỗ nào cũng là chuyện, giờ ngay cả người làng khác cũng biết. Nếu cứ tiếp tục như vậy, nhà chúng ta làm sao mà buôn bán được chứ? Người trong nhà há chẳng phải chỉ có thể chờ chết thôi sao? Hai huynh đệ họ Vương nghe vậy mà giật nảy người. Làm ăn sợ nhất là bị mang tiếng xấu. Sở Dịch thừa tung tin đồn nhảm trong vùng này không còn đỡ, bọn họ mà lợi dụng cả trăm dịch sứ đi xuyên tạc khắp nơi, thì tiệm nhà cụ của nhà họ Vương chỉ có lúc đóng cửa. Nhà họ Vương ở đây không có ruộng đất gì, hoàn toàn dựa vào việc buôn bán để kiếm sống. Trong nhà mặc dù sung túc hơn người làm nông bình thường, nhưng thời này trọng nông khinh thương, cho nên địa vị xã hội của bọn họ còn không bằng cả nông dân. Triều đình nhà Minh đã có quy định nông dân có thể mặc áo gấm như những người có công danh, Nhưng thường dân dù có giàu có đến đâu đi chăng nữa cũng không được phép làm vậy. Cho nên mặc dù nông dân không mua nổi áo gấm, nhưng phú thương có mua nổi cũng chẳng mặc được. Thậm chí là những thương nhân gia tài ngàn vạn cũng chỉ có thể mặc áo gấm ở trong nhà, khi ra khỏi cửa lại phải thay bằng quần áo vải thô. Nếu không để người ta cáo quan thì sẽ là tội lớn. Do đó khi vương gia đi thừa kiện thì ngay từ đầu đã rơi vào thế bất lợi. Nếu lại còn để cho việc làm ăn đi tong, chắc chắn sẽ là lợi bất cập hại. Chẳng lẽ một người đã chết mà khiến cả nhà không sống được nữa sao? Đến lúc này, ý định thư kiện đến cùng của hai huynh đệ đã giảm đi phần nào. Ngẫm lại cũng gần hết năm, bây giờ mà đi xa thì không ổn, chỉ bằng hai huynh đệ cố gắng quản lý cửa tiệm, chờ qua Tết rồi bàn tiếp. Hai huynh đệ cùng chạy ra sảnh trước mời chào khách. Thế nhưng qua mấy ngày vẫn không bán được gì, lại còn nghe được tin đồn nói là Vương lão gia lừa gạt tiền của người ta, để người ta vạch trần tại chỗ, xấu hổ quá mà chết. Hai đứa con nhà họ Vương còn tham của hơn cả lão ta. Mùa đông giá rét này mà vẫn bỏ mặc thi hài cha mình ở chỗ mọ tát, kệ cho người ta mổ bụng moi gan, lắp xương xét nghiệm, tất cả chỉ vì muốn lừa gạt chút tiền. Thường có câu lời gièm pha của thiên hạ luôn rất đáng sợ. Những người khác nào quan tâm thật giả ra sao. Tóm lại tất cả chỉ nghĩ không nên hoàn lại với nhà họ Vương, kẻo lại ảnh hưởng đến thanh danh nhà mình. Có vài nhà hàng xóm vốn rất thân thiết với nhà họ Vương, nhưng mấy hôm nay khi thấy mặt trông họ hơi lạ, rồi dần dần trở nên xa lánh. Hai huynh đệ hết sức bất bình, bé đi cầu kiến huyện Thái gia, nhưng lại nghe nói vì tuyết lớn làm đổ nhà của 3 hộ dân ở Lưu Gia Bình, nên huyện lệnh đại nhân vốn yêu dân như con đã đến đón động viên và cứu tế, phải 2 ngày sau mới trở về. 2 hôm sau bọn họ quay lại thì lại nghe nói huyện lệnh đại nhân đã tới Tiên Phủ để chỉ huy việc vận chuyển lương thực mùa đông cho nha môn và sở dịch thừa. Cái gì mà dường như chẳng phải điều đó dần dần trước mắt sao? Người ta rõ ràng là đang giúp nhà họ Mã đấy. Một hôm lúc Vương Nhị tới phủ thành lĩnh hàng, Vương Đại ngồi trong quầy đực mặt nhìn người đi trên đường. Trong cửa tiệm vắng tanh. Giờ này năm ngoái còn có mấy đội ca múa, đội cà kheo, có cả tổng hội đánh hát, nhà chùa đến mua vài món nhạc cụ giá rẻ theo mùa. Còn năm nay cho đến giờ vẫn chưa bán được một món. Chẳng lẽ cứ phải chạy ra ngoài đường lôi kéo khách vào hay sao? Vương Đại vô cùng giàu dĩ mà chẳng biết nên làm thế nào. Cẩn thận nhớ lại, trước kia thấy cha hắn thường nói là bị tức ngực. Hồi năm ngoái còn đột nhiên bị bất tỉnh bởi một cơn bạo bệnh. Này ngọn bác kiểm tra thấy trên người không có vết thương nào. Có lẽ thực sự vì xấu hổ, xen lẫn giận dữ, nộ khí công tâm mặt chết. Bây giờ làm ầm như thế này sẽ khiến tiệm nhạc cụ của nhà họ Vương mất sạch thanh danh. Một nhà già trẻ lớn bé phải gặm đất mà sống rồi. Phải làm thế nào bây giờ? Đang lúc hắn đắm chìm trong suy tư, chợt có người vỗ lên quầy cười ha ha nói: Vương Đại, làm gì mà hai người ra thế? Đang tính bán đồ gì vào dịp Tết hả? Vương Đại ngẩng đầu nhìn thì thấy một lão già quắc thước, mặc thanh bào, đang tươi cười đứng ở bên ngoài quầy. Hắn vội vàng đứng dậy bước ra nghênh tiếp, mặt cười tươi roi rói, giọng niềm nở: Ê, ông chủ Ngô, sao ông rảnh rỗi ghé thăm thế? Mau vào đi, người đâu, mau pha trà ngon đem ra đây. Vị này tên là Ngô Kiệt, tuổi hơn 50, là thương nhân vùng Xuyên Thiểm, tức là Tứ Xuyên và Thiểm Tây. Đến khu vực lân cận kinh thành để buôn bán dược liệu, tiền tài vượt xa nhà họ Vương. Cây Minh là nơi tập trung phân phối luân chuyển dược liệu của lão. Một năm thì đã có đến nửa năm lão ở lại nơi đây. Người làm ăn buôn bán ở vùng này phần đông đều biết đến ông chủ Ngô, kẻ có tiếng vung tay hào phóng. Ngô Kiệt mỉm cười ngồi xuống ghế, chậm rãi trả lời: Nào, có bận gì đâu, giờ sắp đến Tết rồi, ta chẳng bận bịu lo xong đống công việc để còn chuẩn bị về quê ăn Tết. Tiện thể đi qua nhà hiền đệ nên ghé vào thăm một chút. Sao hôm nay đệ lại ngồi trong quầy thế? Để xem nào, vẫn chưa có chuẩn bị gì à? Trước tiệm trông vắng vẻ quá nhỉ? Thế cha đệ đâu? Khuôn mặt Vương Đại thoát trở nên ảm đạm gượng cười. Ôi, ông chủ vô, không giấu gì ông.